When I get about 2 seconds to sit down, that's what I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go, doggone, how about this one? Vahe, man alive.
It's always just a little bit awkward when Pat puts it up like that, man, because you know you're open, but you don't know how open you are.
I mean, our goal from the beginning of the season was to win the Super Bowl, not to get to it.
The way it ended, it doesn't sit right with me. How chippy and ticky-tack it got, and I'm disappointed in myself.
It's just hard to have a lot to say about something that you were not prepared for.
Getting to the Super Bowl wasn't what our goal is. Our goal is to win it.
Now home Super Bowl for the first time in NFL history, I think puts a lot of cool things in perspective.
It's a grind just to get to this point. And that makes the finality of it all kind of hit you like a ton of bricks. That's why it's a gutting feeling in your stomach.
Welcome to Safety Blitz, starring the two-time Super Bowl champ and Rodney Harrison, Jack Collinsworth. So, Rod, the Super Bowl is set. As you sat on your couch yesterday with this Super Bowl now set in motion, what were some of your thoughts? Tom Brady, 10 Super Bowls since being a sixth-round draft pick back in 2000. What was going through your head?
Man, I texted a few of my former teammates, and I said, can you believe this dude at 43 years old, he's going back to the Super Bowl? And I looked down on my phone. I probably had like 10 messages myself, and everybody just completely awestruck about Tom Brady. But we really shouldn't be like surprised, because Tom does such a wonderful job of preparing himself mentally, taking care of his body physically, and like the mental toughness that Tom Brady has is just absolutely incredible. But I was just stunned like you probably were, Jack.
For me, it was just kind of a realization of what the NFL has now become. It's been this slow transition into full offensive football. They've been doing all these rules for years now, making it harder and harder on the defensive side of the ball, trying to go all offense, all quarterbacks. And now these best quarterbacks, Mahomes, Tom Brady, have just built dream team rosters. It's like the NBA almost. How many great players can you accumulate that can just dominate one-on-one matchups on the outside? And now both of these teams have just run right through the NFL and straight up to the Super Bowl. And you have the quarterback who has gone to 10, and Tom Brady, 10 Super Bowls. And then you have going up against the other quarterback who may be the only player in the history of football that could possibly make it to 11. So that to me is what it's become. You have two minds that can do anything, two talents at the quarterback position that could do anything, and then they've just loaded up offenses around them, and that's what the NFL at the top shelf is right now, and nobody else, even the Bills, who are by far the second best team in the AFC, they just can't compete.
Well, just think if you were Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, and Teddy Bridgewater, and Tom Brady comes into your division the very first year, and no, he doesn't win the division. He's heading to the Super Bowl. Imagine how that makes those guys feel. That's just how good Tom Brady is. And I don't want to hear people trying to compare, is it Belichick, is it Brady? Belichick is not the same guy without Tom Brady, and Tom Brady is not the same player without Coach Belichick. Let's nip that in the bud. Both of them are great, and both of them deserve to be considered the GOAT at what they do. But yeah, you talk about this Super Bowl, man, this is absolutely incredible to see the next generation of the great Patrick Mahomes, playing against Tom Brady. And one thing about Tom Brady is a thug. I've said this before. He doesn't care about who you are. He wants to beat you. And trust me, he wants to compete against Patrick Mahomes, and he wants to make sure that the Kansas City Chiefs they're not the first team to go back-to-back since our Patriots in 03 and 04. So I'm really excited about this Super Bowl, Jack.
Let's get into some of these games from yesterday. I want to hit on the Bucs defense because they're going up against the MVP. It's one of the great offenses in football, and Aaron Rodgers hasn't played this well really in his career. Todd Bowles had this Bucs defense flying around, and David Bakhtiari, the absence of him at left tackle, you saw it. It just showed up. They had nobody that could protect Aaron's blind side, and rarely do you see A-Rod under pressure like that, taking big hits like that, genuinely uncomfortable throughout a game like he was yesterday. What did you think of the inability to protect, or maybe just what Todd Bowles was able to do in terms of getting pressure on Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, it was definitely about Todd Bowles, and I thought he called an incredible game. I mean, he switched it up. Sometimes it was four-man rushes. Sometimes it was a lot of five-man pressures. He went man-to-man. He went zone, the safeties, even though he was basically playing with two backup safeties because both his safeties were hurt. they did a wonderful job of disguising. They were physical. They didn't miss a lot of tackles. I thought the defense was flying around, and Devin White is, for the life of me, I don't understand. How could this guy not be voted to the All-Pro team? I mean, 9 sacks or whatever, 140, 50 tackles, just all over the field. And you saw his impact when he came back, how everyone else is impacted. You saw JPP and Shaquille Barrett just giving him a hard time. And you look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers looked confused. He looked hesitant. All year we've seen Aaron Rodgers drop back with the utmost confidence. I didn't see that. These guys were absolutely outstanding. Shaquille Barrett, he's going to set up for a huge payday. Jason Pierre-Paul, he was outstanding. And this is the same pressure that they're going to need against Patrick Mahomes, because he's a guy that can move. He's dynamic. He can throw the ball down the field. He can do absolutely everything with the football.
Anytime defensively you can shut down the run. I mean, Green Bay has 3 great running backs, 3 really great running backs. A.J. Dillon, who we had seen coming on towards the end of the year, and we thought, we thought when you got into this bad weather football that Dillon might have the ability to take over some of these games in the power running game. Not one of those 3 stud running backs were over 30 yards in this game. And then you supplement with that with what they were able to do getting pressure on Aaron Rodgers. It's a wonder that they were even able to score 26 points in this game. Take you back to one play that I thought was really tough. It was in the second quarter. Davante Adams has run a back shoulder fade down on the goal line, and he's wide open. And we've seen Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams complete that pass time and time and time again. And Rodgers puts it perfectly on his back hip. Davante opens up, and he just dropped it. I don't know if it was a little too hot on him or what it was, but he just dropped it. And that set up back-to-back really throws to Davante Adams that were incomplete. One where he's just out of the back of the end zone, and one where his incomplete over to the right sideline. But that was the play. They had a chance to tie it up right there, even the field. They weren't able to do that. And this is one of the best red zone offenses in football that wasn't able to score touchdowns. And why was that? When you're sitting there watching the game, what did you think it was they took away to make it so tough?
Wait, let's really, I mean, shouldn't we focus on the play, the fourth down? Why didn't he go for it?
Well, let's
focus on why Matt LaFleur did not go for it, because the other stuff that you're talking about is important, but this is the most important decision on the field and why Matt LaFleur didn't go for it. I was very disappointed. I was surprised. I'm like, I know they're going to go for it. They got Aaron Rodgers. And you look up, and he goes and he sends a field goal unit out, and you got Tom Brady on offense, and you're asking your defense to stop Tom Brady. I didn't like the call. I thought it showed his inexperience. I think it showed his youth. And you have Aaron Rodgers, and you guys have built up a rapport, a relationship, a professional trust. And Aaron Rodgers is waiting for that very moment. You have to give him the ability to go up in there and try to score. And even if he doesn't score, guess what? They're on the 8-yard line. So now Tom has to go 92 yards to score a touchdown. I didn't like it. It just showed his inexperience as a head coach, and he's going to regret that the entire offseason. And I don't know what's going to happen to Aaron Rodgers, but if I'm Rodgers, I'm looking at Matt LaFleur like, you didn't trust me in the most critical moment of our season. You did not trust me, and that would really bother me if I were Aaron Rodgers.
You get conservative, you lose. Welcome to the NFL playoffs. It's as simple as that. And especially when you're going up against Tom Brady or Sean McDermott going up against Patrick Mahomes, that's what it is. I mean, you get conservative and you lose. And in that situation where you have Aaron Rodgers from the 8-yard line, probably more importantly, knowing that you were going to – if you kick that field goal, okay, you cut it to 5. It's an 8-point game, and that's probably why he made the decision. If it was 7, I'd like to think there's no way he does it. Really, I'd like to think there's no way he does it with an 8-point game. But to kick it back to Tom Brady, who his entire career, maybe what he's known best for, is never giving the ball back to an offense in that situation. He gets it with an opportunity to put a game away. He puts people away. It's keep away. So let's hear from Coach, as we always do. If we're going to bash him, we let him in on the conversation. Here's Coach LaFleur on why he made the decision to not go for it on that 4th down and 8 from the goal.
It was just the circumstances of having 3 shots and coming away with no yards. And knowing that you not only need the touchdown, but you need the 2-point. So the way I was looking at it was we essentially had 4 timeouts with the 2-minute warning. And, you know, we knew we needed to get a stop. And I thought we were going to have a stop there at the end, but, you know, we got called for the PI. And it didn't work out. So I think anytime something doesn't work out, do you regret it? Sure. But we're always going to be process driven here. And the way our defense was battling, the way our defense was playing, we felt like it was the right decision to do. And it just didn't work out.
I understand the thinking above 2 minutes with all of our timeouts, but yeah, that wasn't my decision.
I couldn't believe it, honestly, because there's no guarantee that they're going to make it back down there again. Even if they was on 4th down, they might as well try. But I know offense they've been amazing in 4-minute offense this year, not giving the team back the ball. So I had all the utmost confidence in them. But I know if he could take it back, he probably wouldn't do that next time. But I appreciate it. Offense did their job. We did our job, and we came out with the win.
And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I am furious. And I'm sure he's at home and he is furious, because you mean to tell me you think you got a better chance kicking a field goal, putting that defense back on the field against the greatest quarterback of all time, the most clutch quarterback of all time, as opposed to giving it to my all-star, all-pro quarterback for an opportunity to score a touchdown? Come on, Jack. Is that inexperience? Is that an excuse? What do you read from what he's saying?
I think experience, specifically at the coaching spot, is one of the greatest stories of championship weekend. You saw it with Sean McDermott, who's been phenomenal all year. He's been phenomenal to get Buffalo into this position. He got them there they're 9 for 11 on 4th down, 9 for 11 this year on 4th down. It's a big reason they have the record they have, big reason they made it this far. And Josh Allen's a big reason why they're able to convert those 4th downs, because he can run, he can throw. He's so hard to bring down in the backfield. He's a big physical tight end body playing the quarterback spot. But both of those inexperienced coaches, I thought, just got a little soft. And by a little soft, I mean very soft in key moments of those games. And I think when you haven't been to many moments like that you just are not quite as trigger happy to go make the risky play. But if you don't make the risky play, I think it really is more risky by not being risky, if that makes any sense. I think it's more risky when you're going up against Tom Brady and when you're going up against Patrick Mahomes by playing soft. And I thought both of them just played soft, and that's how you lose.
Jack, they've been risky all year. They've been doing it all year. They drop back, they'll throw it. Exactly, and that's the thing with me, and that's why you could tell from Aaron Rodgers, his conversation, that he's trying to be humble, he's trying to say the right thing, but at the end of the day, he wants to say, I'm Aaron Rodgers. How do you not give me the ball? How do you not give Aaron Rodgers the ball? How do you not do that? And see, this is the thing that really bothers me, and it bothered me against Doug Peterson. When Doug Peterson came out and he lied about putting Nate Sudfeld in. Well, when you go back and you tell that same lie to your locker room, guess what happens? They don't believe you. And then when the owner comes down and he grabs 4 or 5 guys and he says, okay, what do you think about this, that, and the other? All the guys say the same thing. I can't trust him. He lied to the locker room. And that's part of the reason why Doug Peterson got fired. That's part of the reason. And for the life of me, if I was Matt LaFleur, I would call Aaron Rodgers and say, you know what? I messed up. I messed up. I made a terrible call. I messed up. And I just think that you gain more respect from your locker room and your quarterback if you just come out and say, you know what? I made a huge mistake. I should have blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, everybody's so caught up in analytics and what the analytics say. As a head coach, you should have a feel for the game. You should know, this is my quarterback. This is the guy that I see every day. I see him practicing. I see the way he prepares. I see how late he stays. I see how early he stays. But yet you would not give Aaron Rodgers the ball. Matt LaFleur, he's wrong for that. He's absolutely wrong for that.
Well, you could have given, so let's say you don't get it, right there, right? So if you don't get it, you're going to leave him the ball at what? Let's assuming you gain 0 yards on that last play, you're going to leave Tom Brady deep down in that territory, and that at least gives you a chance to get a Tom Brady stop. You kick a field goal, you bring him all the way out to the 25-yard line, you let him go to work, operating that offense. It was just, there just was no logic in the decision, and to be honest with you, I think it may wind up being one of the biggest coaching errors of LaFleur's career. And I think that they've had multiple of those this year in terms of just not letting Aaron Rodgers be involved in enough decision-making. And it's ultimately led to him feeling like he's a bit of an outsider. And him feeling like he's a bit of an outsider, I believe, is the reason why Rodgers is going to leave. I think he's going to try to do everything in his power to get out of Green Bay this offseason because I just don't think he wants to finish his career there anymore. I think, every time we see somebody draft the heir apparent, the next guy who's going to be the future quarterback, it always winds up that quarterback winds up leaving town. That's just how it plays out. And my guess now is that Aaron Rodgers is going to try to do the exact same thing. It all started back when they tried to go ahead and take his replacement Love in the first round, caught him completely off guard. They follow it up by taking a power running back in A.J. Dillon that was no factor at all season long on a team that last year was in the championship game. They were one game away from going to the Super Bowl. This is a ready now roster, and you go pick for the future. That right there is going to tick off the future of your franchise, or really forget about the future of your franchise, the current state of your franchise, and Aaron Rodgers. Here was Rodgers after the game, and he didn't sound very happy. When he started talking about the future, sounded like it might not be in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
What did this particular team mean to you at this point in your career?
Yeah, they're all special for sure. I think this one, as much as any of them, I just found some really special friendships with, Mercedes and Devontae. Especially Tim and I have become really close over the years. Jamal, I love Jamal. Aaron Jones. There's a lot of guys' futures that are, uncertain, myself included. That's what's sad about it most. Getting this far, obviously there's going to be an end to it at some point, whether we make it past this one or not, but just the uncertainty is tough, and the finality of it all.
Last one, Bill Huber.
Yeah, it's kind of along those lines. This would probably be a better question for next week, but we might not get you next week. So how do you go on from here? I mean, you kind of hit on some of the realities a minute ago. So how do you go on from here? How do you take the next step?
Yeah, Bill, it's a good question. I don't know. I really don't. There's a lot of unknowns going into this offseason now. And I'm going to have to take some time away for sure and clear my head and just kind of see what's going on with everything. But it's pretty tough right now, especially thinking about the guys that may or may not be here next year. There's always change. That's the only constant in this business. It's really tough to get to this point. Really, really tough. Especially with it only being one bye week in the playoffs. It's a grind just to get to this point. And that makes the finality of it all kind of hit you like a ton of bricks. That's why it's a gutting feeling in your stomach. But I do appreciate you all and the job that you've done this year. I appreciate our interactions. Appreciate the opportunity to share every week. And I'll always be thankful for this season.
And Jack, that is a guy that gave everything. He absolutely gave everything. You could tell how tired and how dejected he is. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, and if just kind of knowing his situation, and if the Packers can't come to me and say this offseason, you know what, Aaron? You are our quarterback. We made a mistake. You are our quarterback. We want you here for the next 2 or 3 years. You are our guy. If they can't do that, I would try to force my way out of town because, the guy has done so much for that organization, and for them not to involve him, for them not to communicate, for them, all the things that you talked about, going out, drafting a running back and a quarterback and those things and not really helping them out in the passing game. If I were Aaron Rodgers and let me just say this, Aaron. When I left my first team, I went and won back-to-back Super Bowl rings. So it can be done. It's not like just because you're tied in with the Packers that you have to spend the rest of your career. It's okay to leave. You should leave. You should go experience what free agency is about and what other teams are willing to do and compromise for you and how much other people may appreciate you. Because to me, it just doesn't seem like the Green Bay Packers appreciate your greatness and everything that you've done. I would say this, Jack. When I look at Aaron Rodgers' career, if he doesn't win that second Super Bowl, there's going to be a lot of question marks surrounding Aaron Rodgers, because we talk about how great of a quarterback he is. Is he the greatest of all time? No, he's one of the best athletic quarterbacks, but he is not the greatest of all time. But at the same time, if you're Green Bay, you have this great quarterback here, you have to take care of him. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, if they can't come to me and show me a little love and respect, I'm forcing my way out of town. Your thoughts?
Totally. I mean, you talk about going somewhere else and winning. Look no further than Tom Brady. He did it in 1 year. 1 year. He did it in the worst possible offseason, too. I mean, 1 year is what it took. There was no preseason. There was no ability to get together with teammates before preseason and just work on timing and such. He brings in Antonio Brown, recruits any old head around the league that he possibly could to come down to Tampa. I mean, look at the way that group on the field after that game reacted and responded to Tom Brady when he walked up to the mic. It was unbelievable. That's the kind of teammate that Tom Brady is. And I think Aaron Rodgers has some of those same effects. But back to the point, Rodney, we were talking about with these becoming sort of all-star teams, when you look at the Chiefs roster from an offensive weapon perspective, then you look at the Bucs and this all-star team over on the NFC side, and then look at Green Bay. Look at what Aaron Rodgers has. I mean, when he's throwing to Devontae Adams 3 times in a row at the goal line because he has nobody else, not to mention his tight ends are just okay. I mean, Tunyon had a big year coming on. I don't know if he has this kind of year if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback for him. I mean, every time he's in trouble, he's looking to force something to Devontae Adams, and it's because he has no number 2. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, you never know what kind of game you're going to get him. You get a great one, you get a bad one. You just never know. No first-round picks. No first-round picks at wide receiver to give this man some help. I'm getting out. And I don't think it matters anymore that you have a few years left on your contract. I just don't think it matters. Look at Watson. Look at what the NFL has become. The player at quarterback has so much power, so much leverage over the franchise. If he just sits his butt out, they're gonna have to move. They're gonna have to move on to Love. I don't think they want to do it, but I think they've forced his hand into having to do it, and I think he doesn't want to live in Green Bay, Wisconsin anymore. You got that big mansion in Southern California. He loves being in San Francisco, California, and I think both of those places are circling through his brain right now.
Yeah, I was just thinking L.A. I was thinking if you put Aaron Rodgers in a Raiders uniform, if you put him in a Chargers uniform or a San Francisco 49er uniform, they're in the playoffs. They're in the playoffs. I don't care how many injuries. They're in the playoffs. If you give them Aaron Rodgers, trust me, Green Bay, if you want to go and rebuild with the young quarterback, go ahead. Trust me, it's no fun. All you have to do is look at my Patriots, okay? And they had a veteran quarterback that went to the Super Bowl and Pro Bowl. If you can't appreciate Aaron Rodgers, man, trust me, there's 28 other teams that would love to have Aaron Rodgers, period. And I'm done talking about it.
So leave it at that. Leave it at that, because you would have thought they would involve him in the head coaching hire too. I mean, all of those things you just would have thought he was a part of, and he never felt like he was. And by the same point, Rodney, when I was sitting there watching that game yesterday with Tom Brady, I'm going, how are 31 franchises, 32, other than probably Patrick Mahomes, how are 31 other franchises not lining up and doing every Brinks truck, everything they could to go recruit Tom Brady this offseason? From what I heard, by the end of it, it basically came down to Tampa. I mean, it basically was Tampa. And so, yeah, he went to Tampa, and he takes Tampa straight to the Super Bowl. But how was every franchise in the NFL not doing everything in their power to go get Tom Brady to come? This guy's still playing like he's in his prime at 43 years old, is he not?
Yeah, he does a wonderful job of taking care of his body and doing all the right things, but this was a great fit. Him and Arians, they kind of bumped heads initially, and then throughout the season, I thought what you saw was Bruce Arians taking 1 or 2 steps back and letting Tom communicate more with Byron Leftwich, somebody that's closer to his age, somebody that knows him a little bit better. But, yeah, it is what it is at this point in time. Let's just see what happens at the game. But, man, Aaron Rodgers, that's a bad dude regardless. I don't care how much they don't value him.
Yeah, we saw 4 bad dudes on championship weekend this year.
We did,
Josh Allen, Mahomes. That's what was so great about watching all these these guys are unbelievable. And I think Tom Brady, you made a great point there. We'll move it to the Chiefs, but I think Tom Brady, he's one of the few players, like maybe, and I'm talking all of sports, maybe LeBron James too, but this just transcends coaching. That he has the ability, he's been around so many coaches, he's been in the league so many years, that he's at a point now where he sees the game as a coach at the quarterback position, and he can elevate everybody around him. And LeBron does that same thing on the court. I can't think of anybody else that's in that kind of a category. Maybe Mahomes gets there. Go ahead, Rodney. Do you see it that same way?
I look at Tom and just being a teammate of his. The one thing that I know about Tom is Tom treats everybody really, really good. And he gets the respect of the locker room. He truly gets the respect of the locker room. So, yeah, you'll see him talking to a veteran player over there, but he's still going to come over here and talk to this guy over here. I mean, he's just a guy that everybody likes. He's no nonsense. He's very honest. He's not full of a bunch of BS. He's straight to the point, and his expectation is, and he will jump on you. If everybody else is doing it 100% and focused and prepared, we expect you to be the same way. It's just the leadership. It's the mental toughness. You think about how difficult it is for a man like Tom Brady switching teams, trying to get to know all his individual teammates, trying to get to ball to Mike Evans and Antonio Brown, guys that have had a plethora of success in their lives, in their football lives, and just everything that it encompasses, and going to a new city and taking that team all throughout all the ups and downs and to get to the Super Bowl. It's one of the greatest achievements, if not the greatest achievement, that I've seen in all of team sports at 43 years old. Who does that, Jack? Who does that? It's just incredible. It's amazing. This is a guy, dude, I've watched him come in the weight room at 5 o'clock in the morning and take care of his body and get massages where everybody else is gone. He's still in there. And to think at 43 years old that he is going to the Super Bowl, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it, man.
And it may not be the last one he takes them to. That's the craziest part. I guess maybe the first one he takes the Bucs to. He might have a couple more runs in him. I mean, shoot, especially you get Aaron Rodgers out of the NFC. You get Drew Brees out of the NFC. Who the hell's left? I mean, he may turn this thing into a little dynasty down there in Tampa. I mean, it's unbelievable. So the only other team that really is keeping this thing interesting is Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills were by far the second best team in the AFC. When you watch them play on the same field as the Chiefs, what's running through your mind?
Man, listen, I've had a tumultuous relationship with the Bills Mafia, but I just got to give them props, man. They did a heck of a job, winning the division, which the Patriots dominated for so many years. Josh Allen is an absolute stud. McDermott, all those guys, Leslie Frazier, he did a wonderful job with the defense. They just basically, they were the Mercedes of the AFC, and Kansas City is that Bentley, the Rolls Royce. It's just two different classes of teams, man. You see Josh and these guys, they're going to be good. They're going to continue to get better. They're going to add a couple more pieces offensively. And, and in order to them to take that next step to go to the Super Bowl, they're going to have to try to find a running back, a lot better running backs than what they have. They got 2 guys, and they're both average. They're both average running. If they don't commit to the running of football, it's going to be Josh Allen like Russell Wilson running around trying to create everything. You have to have a run game, and that defense is good enough to build on. They still got some people they need to sign, but that's a very good defense. So they have a really great foundation, and the only team that really I look at, it's the Miami Dolphins. Let's see what happens with the Patriots in the division, but I don't even look at the Jets as any type of threat. So I think this is a team that could really dominate the division like the Patriots did if they just continue to do what they've been doing.
Yeah, I love your point about the running backs. Get some dynamic running back in there, preferably one that can catch the ball too, that Josh Allen can start to establish a little bit of that where he can throw it to somebody. They also need another wide receiver. I mean, if these are the shootout games that it's going to take, and a tight end and a great tight end. If these are the shootout games it's going to take to make the Super Bowl, in my opinion, that's what Brady realized. He's looking at Andy Reid, he's looking at the Chiefs, and he's going, I know for a fact I can't do anything here in New England. I have nothing. I have to go to an all-star team too if I want to have a chance of competing with them. And you saw the Bills go get Stephon Diggs, one of the great pickups of this entire offseason. He played like it. I mean, right away, clicked with the quarterback, had one of the biggest years we've seen from a receiver. I mean, he was awesome
ever
this year.
Right.
But who's their number two? I mean, you know, Cole Beasley's a great slot guy. He's tough as nails, and he does a lot of things great. But
he was hurt too, bro.
Somebody else.
He was hurt. He was dealing with some ankle problems in the slot. I know what you're saying. Yeah. They have the young kid Gabriel on the outside, but they do need a really good number two. John Brown, he's not it.
No,
you're right. Speed. They do.
It's just what's becoming what the NFL is right now. So for Patrick Mahomes, listen, he's the guy that's built this damn thing. He's going back to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, and they don't look like they're slowing down. If anything, they look like they're speeding up at this point. So let's hear from Mahomes on Super Bowl trip number 2.
I mean, the Super Bowl is the Super Bowl. Being able to go up against one of the greatest, if not the greatest, quarterback of all time in his 150th Super Bowl. I mean, it's going to be a great experience for me. I mean, to go out there and have a chance to repeat and get to do it against the best. I mean, it's something special, and I'm excited for the opportunity.
And I tell you this, man, this is truly bragging rights. Just think, everybody's saying that Patrick Mahomes is just the greatest quarterback to ever come out. And if Tom Brady beats him, that's something that Tom is going to be able to carry into retirement the rest of his life. That is huge. But if he loses to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, trust me, he's going to take that very personally. So Tom, he wants to win this game. And I called Tom a thug. I look at Patrick Mahomes, that dude, he doesn't play around. Everything that he does is based off he wants to win football games. It's going to be an awesome Super Bowl. I can't wait.
Let's be honest, man. We all knew it had to come down to this. We all knew. As much as all the other storylines around the NFL were cute and fun, and we bounced them around for a few months, we all knew that the past, what the NFL has been for the last 2 decades and what the NFL is going to be for the next 2 decades had to at some point meet. And how could it be any better than for the Bucs hosting the first time we've ever seen a team host a home Super Bowl, for this to be the moment. Right when he gets down there to Tampa, it's perfect. There could not be a better Super Bowl this season. And Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, is just getting so much better. I mean, you're putting just this talent that we haven't really seen. Maybe Aaron Rodgers is close from just a God-given talent scale point, to what we're seeing, skill point as we're seeing from Mahomes right now. It's probably about as close as we've seen. But I don't know that we've seen what Patrick can do. I think he may even be another level. But now that the mind is coming with that, and Andy Reid has another season with them, the relationship that he has with Travis Kelce, we all have that one friend growing up that knows what we're thinking better than we know what we're thinking ourselves. We all have that one guy. When you play high school sports, when you play on the playground with them, they're just doing things ahead of, before you can even tell them to go there, they're already there. That's what's happening on the football field with Kelce and with Patrick Mahomes. They're both so smart. I mean, to think that, Travis Kelce almost never made it to this point in his career. Like Brian Kelly and Jason Kelce had to go get him to the University of Cincinnati after he got caught smoking dope. For him to make it to this point in his career and now to be here paired up with Mahomes and Andy Reid, I just think that relationship, we haven't even gotten to Tyreek Hill. I mean, there is so many great relationships and partnerships. And the same leader that Tom Brady is, Patrick Mahomes is the younger version of that. These dudes love Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely, man. He's a humble leader. He works his butt off. He's very inclusive when he talks about his teammates. He never makes it about him, and it's always team. So when I listen to Patrick Mahomes, and I remember the speeches and the conversations and just the way Tom Brady carried himself, they're very similar. They are very similar. They are born leaders. And you just see the poise. And you see the poise when they're under pressure, when they're under duress, whether it's in the game, on the sideline, you just see them. And yeah, sometimes they go off and they yell and scream at their teammates. But for the most part, they're bringing their guys in, trying to figure out a way. And it's just, it's so rare, man. I'm telling you, I played with Brian Leaf, and he was drafted first or second in 1998. And to be able to play with the biggest bust in NFL history and to be able to play with the greatest quarterback of all time, it's two totally different just directions. Tom, he does everything right. He works out, he lifts, he involves his teammates, he communicates. The other quarterback, he does what he wants to do. And that's what you see the difference in, these these elite quarterbacks compared to these guys are just average quarterbacks.
And also with Tyreek Hill, like I think, given that he has Patrick Mahomes and given that he has Andy Reid, we may have the number one wide receiver in football conversation too often without bringing up his name right away. He turned two plays yesterday I want to talk about for just a second. One was a 3-yard out that he busted for about a 50-yarder. I have no clue how. I mean, he just turned it into a punt return, made the whole defense miss, and gained 40 yards. The other one was a slant that he took for about 80. Like, those 2 plays. So it's 2 plays where he has no chance to really get more than about 7, and he gets over 100 yards by himself. There's no way that you can put the value on that. Like, who else does that in football besides Tyreek Hill? Who else? Like, you talk about the great ones, DK Metcalf or Julio Jones. Nobody can just make the entire defense miss like Tyreek Hill. And then you put some of the route running stuff he does. I mean, that 15-yard out he ran for the big first down, it was like he creates 7 yards of separation. These are some of the best defenders in the world that are looking at him going, I have no clue which direction he's going to go or how fast he's going to get there. He's a joystick. I mean, they have no clue how to defend him. And when they can't figure that out, I mean, they're playing without Sammy Watkins. They're playing without Sammy Watkins yesterday. And in the first quarter, I forgot about it. Just forgot about it. Mecole Hardman, Tyreek Hill. It's just endless. The weapons are endless, and that's the Super Bowl that we're headed towards. So it's so awesome. And
Mecole Hardman,
I'm so fired up about what this is and what's become, how we got here. Go ahead. You got something to say, Rod?
No, I was going to say Mecole Hardman, I was really impressed with him, a young guy that made that critical mistake on the goal line, dropping that punt, but Andy Reid trusted him, came back to him, and he made up for it. It's little things like that. You talk about Tyreek Hill, you talk about Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, I played against some of the best tight ends to ever play in the National Football League. And Tony Gonzalez, all them dudes, Antonio Gates, Jason Witten, all those dudes. Nobody runs a better route that I've ever seen than just the route running than Travis Kelce. He is the best route running tight end that I've ever seen. I've never seen a guy that can stop on a dime. You put a cornerback on him, he's pushing him to the side. He's too small. You put a safety there, too slow. A linebacker, he's just too athletic. It's just amazing what this young man has been able to accomplish. And Tyreek Hill, you're absolutely right. We look at him as this little jitterbug and, he could just, we don't really respect him for his skill as a wide receiver. I guess there's a difference between the most dangerous wide receiver and the best wide receiver. Do you see a difference between who's the best and who's the most dangerous wide receiver? Because I think Tyreek Hill is the most dangerous wide receiver.
Yeah, well, personally, I don't, because I think there's that answer. The most dangerous wide receiver is Tyreek Hill, and the best wide receiver is Tyreek Hill. That's what I think. I think it's as simple as that. I think he takes the top off the defense better than anybody. I think he runs routes better than anybody. I just don't think people can stay with him, and he gets disrespected because he's short. I think it's as simple as that. As simple as that. Speaking of short, you see this Baby Yoda, by the way, Rodney? You catch this little Baby Yoda tweet on the way out? I know we got to hit a little break too, but get a look at this. Brady is the host. He got the baby against the old man. Hey, it's a beautiful thing. It is poetic motion, and we're moving into Tampa for the Super Bowl. Safety Blitz coming right back.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.